Welcome back to my channel. So I kind of wanted to do an expose, a day in the life, if you will. Too many people out there they have too many secrets, and I wanted to eliminate all the mystique around my life today. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you everything I consume in a normal day. And I'm on this weight loss journey right now. I'm trying to get in super good shape. I'm trying to lose my love handles, lose my dad bod. I just want to look lean and mean again, you know what I mean? Not necessarily pack on muscle, I just want to get back. I want to cut fat. That's my goal right now. And just to evolve into a leaner being is really it. If some muscle comes with that, then so be it. Strap in, because I'm going to be doing some man-spreading, some man-splaining. You're welcome to join in for the ride. First step, the most important meal of the day, is coffee. Fabula coffee. It's organic, low acid, mold free. That's one problem with a lot of coffees, is they're just saturated in molds and toxins, and they're old, they're not fresh. You know, this is good espresso grounds. I use this stuff in my rock espresso maker, espresso. But yeah, so stuff like this, it's vacuum sealed. They think that preserves the freshness. It doesn't. What actually preserves the freshness is how fresh the bean is. So there is no preserving the freshness, in other words. If you're consuming recently picked, recently roasted beans, they're gonna have that vivacious vibrance to them, and you can really taste it in the flavor profile. And this stuff is pretty fresh. I can taste the difference. It's not 2-week-old fresh. It's probably a couple months old fresh, but still, it's fresh-ish as compared to this. This could sit on a shelf for 10 years and still taste the same. So that's one thing about coffee. People are always going on and on about, oh, make the grounds, you know, vacuum seal or freeze the beans. That's stupid. That freezing makes it worse, in fact. What really makes the difference, and they say, oh, water, oh, the water makes the difference. No, what really makes the real difference is how fresh the beans are and where they're sourced. Like, you know, are they organically sourced, or are they sourced from some nightmare operation? I read one coffee snob said recently, you should be buying 12 ounces every week, a new 12-ounce bag every week from a local market. That makes a lot of sense. So I drink my coffee black because I'm trying to, throughout the morning, I do practice intermittent fasting, and black coffee doesn't really break a fast. In this whole thing, there's probably 5 calories, maybe 4. It's not enough to break a fast. There's obviously no sugar, no milk in it, so really been a fan of chaga over the years. You got chaga and you got reishi, the king and the queen of medicinal mushrooms. Chaga is the queen, I think. Rishi's the king. Sometimes I get that switched. Reishi is really good for the immune system. Chaga, it's a mushroom that grows on birch trees. And I've talked about it in other videos. I just drink it every day. The idea is you drink it every day and your immune system gets better over time. It's an adaptogen, not to mention it's loaded with black pigments, which are the longevity pigment. When it comes to nutrition, it's an old food. And what I mean by that, well, first off, yes, it's old in the sense that it's been consumed for thousands of years, all throughout Siberia, Russia, all over the world, Southeast Asia, I believe they have it too. The birch tree grows in Canada. There are anti-carcinogenic effects to it. So the idea is that it could help prevent the C word, the dreaded C word, and or could treat the C word. It's very good at sponging, soaking up high amounts of radiation and drawing that out of the body. So that's one reason why I drink chaga. And it's got a really nice sort of toasted vanilla flavor about it. It's like black tea meets a nice warm woodsy vanilla. It doesn't taste like mushroom. Not to mention, this isn't the mushroom in the general sense that we're used to seeing, like the spores, the sex organs of the mushroom. This is actually the sclerosa, the body of the mushroom. It's hard to tell because it's cut into square chunks, but there are certain pieces you can get that exhibit what I'm talking about, which is the real body of the mushroom, the real mass of the mushroom body. That's my morning coffee. Didn't want to draw that out. It's just my day-to-day ritual. I do it without thinking about it, right? This has been my day every day for 8 years. This is how I've just lived my life. As far as supplements go, I'm on quite a bit. Let me show you what I take first thing. Every morning, this is the #1 non-negotiable, NAC, N-acetylcysteine. They actually banned this for a while during COVID, so that should kind of be a hint that it's it's good for you. N-acetylcysteine, it's immune system support, supports liver health. One thing that I'll note about it is the flavor profile of it. So I have it in powder form too. It has sort of a sulfuric, lemony flavor about it. It's really weird, like a citric sulfur flavor to it. And it smells like that too. And what this does, it thins out your blood a little bit, so it really helps with cardiovascular health, really helps get blood to all the thin capillaries in your body, really helps oxygenate the whole body through that process. Every morning, NAC, that's a must. I do this other stuff called NAD. NAD+, it boosts NAD, the crucial coenzyme to mitochondrial function. It activates sirtuins, the healthy aging and survival protein. It increases telomerase activity to protect DNA, and it influences NLRP3 gene expression to control cellular inflammation. Essentially what it does is, sirtuins are your genetic survival pathway. Sirtuins activate when you're in a heavily fasted state. 72 hours of zero food, your sirtuins are at an all-time high. Your survival pathways, your genetic survival pathways are at an all-time high. When you haven't eaten in 3 days, you actually need more energy to get that food. You need more drive to get that elk, to get that deer, whatever it is you're hunting, theoretically. Okay, so I first heard about this from a doctor who developed it, Dr. David Sinclair. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast probably about 5 years ago now. He was talking about this. If you've heard of resveratrol, a compound found in red wines that's very good for cardiovascular health and anti-aging effects, loaded with antioxidants. So NAD is a further refined version of resveratrol. The reason you know about resveratrol is because of Dr. David Sinclair. He's the anti-aging doctor. He looks at aging from a unique perspective. He looks at it as a disease. He looks at it as an unnecessary disease. I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I agree with that. They call it the fountain of youth. It pretty much is. When I first started taking it, I was switched on, in other words, and it wasn't a caffeine sort of buzz. It was like a truly, I could feel it at the cellular level. All right, so next, I want to talk about this stuff. This is my Lucy nicotine lozenge. Let me throw in a caveat, because I know nicotine is a loaded subject. I'm not a health expert. Consult your doctor for medical advice or whatever they say. Don't listen to me, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy that uses nicotine. I've talked about nicotine before in some recent podcasts that I've been on. The guy who turned me on to nicotine, I'm going to be fully upfront, Dr. Artis, he started talking about nicotine and all the health benefits to it. Now that said, huge caveat, cigarettes are bad for you. Of course they're carcinogenic. I'll talk about why that is as well. Before I get started, I'm a religious man. You can see the crosses in the background. God put nicotinic acetylcholine receptors into our brain. Every human brain has nicotine receptors. Kind of interesting, right? Why would that be, right? Nicotine is found in not just tobacco leaves, it's also found in peppers. The vegetable with the highest amount of nicotine is actually eggplants. Eggplants have a fair amount of nicotine, far less than tobacco leaf. If you've eaten eggplant, you've consumed nicotine, whether you like it or not. So what nicotine does, essentially, opens up nutrient receptors throughout your body. So if you think of it like this, if you're putting nicotine in and you're opening up your nutrient receptors all throughout your entire digestive tract, right? And you're consuming healthy things, meats, vegetables, supplements. If you're doing the right stuff, if you're eating right, then nicotine could be incredibly useful. If, however, you're using nicotine and you're dumping toxins into your body, then that could be incredibly dangerous. This is just my understanding of it. So take the American cigarette, for example, that's loaded with all your tars, your rat poisons, your whatever, all the toxins, the 300 plus toxins, chemicals that they throw into the American cigarette. If the nicotine in there is opening up your nutrient receptors, then you're dumping in all these toxins. You're forcing toxins into your nutrient receptors, into your cellular nutrient receptors. That's a very, very dangerous idea. So of course cigarettes are carcinogenic. But I take clean nicotine. This is from a company called Lucy. I know a lot of people like that Zen company. There's a few companies that sell different nicotine lozenges. Amazon has some good Amazon brand nicotine lozenges, but Lucy sells the gum. I recommend getting started with the gum, 2 milligram gum, but then I graduated and I just love these citrus lozenges. This is the only form of nicotine that I consume now. I'm to the point now where I'm very picky and I only like the citrus lozenges. What else does nicotine do? It does a lot of things. It's good to have in your emergency kit because it's actually an anti-venom. If you live in an area with poisonous snakes, nicotine is a powerful anti-venom. It will protect your cells from the venom taking root and doing damage. If you're ever bit by a snake, a rattlesnake or something, and you have nicotine, use it. You don't need much, probably 2 milligrams, 4 milligrams max to really stave off the damage from a snake bite. What does a snake bite do? The venom, it crosses the blood-brain barrier. Interesting. It causes difficulty breathing. Interesting. I started on nicotine because I had long COVID. One symptom of snake bites, sorry, I'm bouncing around here. Another symptom of snake bites is ringing in the ears, loss of taste, loss of smell. I had a loss of taste after I recovered from COVID. My taste just didn't come back for weeks. Then I heard about nicotine. Dr. Artis said, chew 2 milligram tablet of gum in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Do that every day for a week. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon for a week straight. I didn't need to do that because the second I chewed that first piece of gum, my taste was back on contact. The second that nicotine entered my brain, what it does is it clears out the spike protein locked up in the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors in the brain. Your brain likes the nicotine more, so it lets go of that spike protein buildup, clings to the nicotine, and that's why as soon as I started, my taste came back, right? And so ever since then, I've been on it. I love it, I like it, I have an affinity for it, and I'm always preaching the health benefits. There's other stuff recently that came out that apparently they did a study on some cows. They induced myocarditis in these cows using a viral load. It's called viral induced myocarditis in these cows. They gave these cows myocarditis and then they put them on a regimen of nicotine, and this was the weirdest thing I've ever heard. After 10 days of a pretty high dosage of nicotine, these cows' hearts were completely restored back to normal. The nicotine helped it clear out scar tissue, myocardial scar tissue out of their hearts. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for talking about this because it is a hot topic, but I really love nicotine. I've been on it for a couple years now. I came off it because I was getting an operation done on my hair, and my doctor said, come off of it 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. I actually quit cold turkey. I just put them down, I think a month and a half before the operation, and I had no plans of picking it back up. I didn't pick it back up till probably 8 months after the operation. Dr. Artis also talks about this. He talks about how nicotine is not addictive. Now, addictive could mean different things to different people. What I'll say about that is I loved it, I missed it, but again, I'm gonna piss off all the atheists out there. All I did to get off nicotine, I said a prayer and I set it down on my nightstand and I didn't touch it for a year. I kid you not, I wasn't tempted once to pick it back up. I missed it, but I did without it. It was fine. I might as well share the whole story. So Dr. Artis also talks about how nicotine itself isn't addictive. There's also no ill health effects associated with nicotine directly. So if you're consuming clean nicotine, it's fine. It's the cigarette, it's the chewing tobacco, it's the snuff. That stuff is dangerous. The vaping, inhaling it through your lungs, that's not the ideal delivery method of nicotine into your bloodstream. What I do, I take 1 lozenge, I stick it up under my lip. It's slow release under my upper lip. If I put it under my tongue, it's quick release. I actually like the slow release better. I wouldn't have thought that would have been my preferred method, but 4 milligrams under the lip, beautiful. I'm riding clean all day on clean nicotine. Cigarettes themselves weren't addictive until tobacco companies got together and they discovered that there's a compound called pyrazines. It's actually found in peppers. They added this chemical called pyrazines to the cigarette. That's what makes cigarettes so hyper addictive. That's why smokers, this is just my theory, that's why smokers that switch to nicotine patches and nicotine lozenges and gums still crave a cigarette. Why? Because none of this stuff has pyrazine in it. It's the pyrazines that create that addictive link to nicotine. Nicotine is very enjoyable. I equate it actually to a heightened version of caffeine. Like, I love my coffee, but I'd say nicotine gives you probably double the alertness. It's a stimulant. The one downside I will say, it's a vasoconstrictor. That's also why I take the NAC every morning. It's a vasodilator. Vasoconstriction just means it sort of hardens the veins, hardens the arteries. It sort of gets in the way of really optimal blood flow. If you have heart issues, definitely consult your doctor before getting on nicotine. But that said, I noticed that my cardio doesn't suffer, my stamina doesn't suffer when I'm on nicotine. So take that for what you will. I'm not a cardiologist, I'm not a doctor. In the off chance that it is doing something negative to my cardiovascular system, that's why I take the NAC every day, vasodilator. Vasodilator just means it opens up the veins. NAC, it'll thin out the blood a little bit, allows for better blood flow while I'm on this. So let me talk a little bit more about when I came off the nicotine. I was probably doing 10 lozenges a day, I'll say. Now I'm probably doing about 7 because I keep it under my upper lip, slow absorbing. So one thing that nicotine does is what I found. There's no cheating in the universe. It releases dopamine when you take it. My dopamine stores were shot when I came off nicotine. I have a remedy for that too. So mad it took me so long to discover this. So this is called Macuna Pruriens. Say that with me now. Say it 5 times fast. Macuna Pruriens. It's a natural substance. This is from Double Wood Supplement. What this contains L-Dopa. It's a precursor to dopamine. And when I went to the Sit Down Boot Camp last year, I was still off nicotine. I ordered this also on Dr. Artis's recommendation. I took 2 and I'm driving into New York City, and I kid you not, I just felt the dopamine stores regenerating in my brain. I felt so euphoric. It was beautiful. Finally, I could feel happy, like that happy giddiness again. Not to say I wasn't happy, I just wasn't feeling much. Like I was numb after coming off the nicotine. It took me a good 7 months before I discovered this. So it was like 7 months of kind of like, lame, I'm fine, but it's lame. Then I took this and it completely restored my dopamine. If you don't wait for your brain to naturally restore dopamine, if you're trying to quit nicotine, if you want to come off of it, I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think it's particularly good for women. I think men tolerate it better. Similar to alcohol, I think men just have a natural orientation towards tolerating certain abusive substances better. Now, I do like to party, I'm not gonna lie. This completely restored my dopamine. I'm driving in New York City and I just felt so good. It almost felt like I was on nicotine again. This stuff can get kind of dangerous. I overdid it. I started doing 2 every morning indefinitely. Now what this does also is it increases testosterone. It's a testosterone booster. It's got a lot of health benefits. I don't want to get into all of it, but Macuna Pruriens is known as the red velvet bean. It is a tropical legume native to Africa. As a supplement, take 2 capsules a day. I don't take this every day because anything that messes with my testosterone gives me roid rage.
An inability to perceive a broad spectrum of positive human emotion. Like, I live in a really beautiful area in Michigan, and I walk out and there's this pond and these trees, and I know that I like looking at them, but it's a memory to me. I go work out every morning and I look at the pond and the trees and I'm like all I feel is rage and frustration and anger and anxiety, and it's just scream in my head all the time.
I'm not on steroids, by the way. Anything that increases my testosterone. I feel like my body's very sensitive to my testosterone balances, and I think, I'm not bragging, but I think my testosterone is kind of always naturally at its own optimal levels. Anything that I do that increases that makes me really moody.
Like all I feel is rage.
And so I was taking this every day. I took it when we went out to Maui and Kauai, and I just remember I just got really moody. I have to temper my consumption of this stuff. And so now I probably do 2 capsules of this a week. 1 every 3 or 4 days. I'm not doing this daily. But if you're on nicotine, or if you're trying to quit your nicotine addiction, what I would recommend is when you quit smoking or quit anything, start popping these, because you need to replenish your dopamine stores. They're shot, especially if you've been smoking for years, if you've been consuming nicotine for years, your dopamine stores in your brain are depleted. So restore them with an L-Dopa. It's safe, but don't overdo it. I overdid it on this stuff. So like I said, 2 capsules a week is all I need, seriously. That's another thing about quitting nicotine that really pissed me off is I'm sort of very hyper aware of messaging. I Googled quitting smoking, and the first 3 articles, I got so pissed off, I said, I'm never gonna Google this topic again. Every single article, WebMD, whatever, they all say, oh, smoking cessation, 95% of people that attempt to quit smoking fail. So they're setting you up already. They're telling you, they're setting you up for failure. They're plugging this lie into your head that you can't quit your nicotine addiction by saying 95, 98% of people fail. Okay, that's a lie. That is a lie. They're trying to keep you addicted. They're trying to keep you in chains, addicted, and a slave to your addiction. Always another way. Remember that. I'm not a health expert. I'll say that for the 18th time this video. That's another thing I like to, why I'm into health, is because health is hope. I had in a recent video, I think it was the one that I did with Chelsea, who's on the carnivore diet, some guy chimed in. He ended up deleting the comment because I kind of pushed back on him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be that confrontational, by the way. But he said, you know, Dale, I respect you. I respect your opinions on style and boots and stuff, but stay in your lane. And stay in your lane. Don't talk about health. Stay in your lane. It's like, health is everybody's lane. If you have a body, if you're alive, if you breathe, if your heart pumps blood through your veins, health is your lane. Don't let anybody tell you health isn't your lane. That's BS, okay? Health should be everybody's freaking, I can't get over that. Why would you outsource your health to a doctor, to a professional? Boggles my mind. All the doctors that I have seen over the years, I tell them about my daily regimen, they haven't heard of half of this stuff. They haven't even heard of a quarter of this stuff that I'm on. Look at my blood pressure, sure. Do my blood work, sure. Look at my lungs, look at my heart, sure. But these are very surface level observations, and I want to know health intimately. I want to wrap my arms around health, understand it intimately. That's my stance on health. So don't let anybody tell you that health is not your lane, that you're not an expert. That's what I love about this stuff, is there's hope. Health is hope. There's always that opportunity for a better you tomorrow. That's what I love about, like, wow. If you're suffering from an illness, a chronic illness, something, and you're low today, tomorrow could be better. You might look at yourself a year from now, not even recognize yourself if you take it that serious. Health is everybody's lane. I look at my buddy Jake at Almost Vintage Style, lost all that weight. He looks fantastic now. And you look at the old him, and it's like, wow. You look at that path, that change. It's so beautiful. All you have to do is do it. All you have to do is elect to do it. Elect to have a better body. I think I was probably at my fattest during my Craft and Glory video, the first one that I ever did. I look back at that, man. I was starting to get there. I definitely had a dad bod. Not proud of it. I still do. I'm slowly evolving to being leaner. I'll get into more of that later in the video. I just really want to open up. And just share my health struggles, my health journey with you guys. Thank you guys for tuning into this. This is great, because you know, I do feel like I get stovepiped into boots. He's a boot guy. Whatever. He just knows about boots. It's like I'm drawn to boots because they give me better health. Foot health is health. Hygiene. Good boots that support your frame, your structure, your walk, your stride. Have a bad back, I need good boots. I need them. I see it as medical equipment, honestly. That my whole foundation, I've been into health way longer than I've been into boots. I discovered good boots in 2013. All right, I was into health way before that, and now I know a lot more about it. On the topic of different people trying different diets, my friend Chelsea, she's on the carnivore diet, has done wonders for her autoimmune conditions, has done wonders for her immune system, has done wonders for her body weight, her mental outlook, her frame of mind. And I'll say this about every diet. There's wisdom in every single diet. Vegans, I listen to vegans, I pick their minds. I listen to bodybuilders. I listen to people on the carnivore. The only diet that I really kind of despise, not so much because it's a diet, it's more because it's more of a cult, is the paleo diet. Those guys, they're just gym bros. It's very culty, the way they approach things. I don't like how they attack legumes. I don't like how they attack dairy. I don't like how they attack certain things. It's just meat and vegetables, you know, no rice, no bread, carbs. I just can't stand it. And then that elitist sort of look down on you sort of mindset. And I'll get more into diet and my approach to diet later in the video. This is gonna be a long ass video, I'm sorry, but this is a subject I'm really passionate about. Also, I want to ask the audience, please, any feedback that you have, any supplement that I mention, any techniques that you recommend to help me, please, I'm listening. Because what actually got me started on my weight loss journey is I did my hair transplant video showing my hair restoration process. And I should have waited till now, because I'm at a year and a half after the operation now, and now it's really all in full bloom. I should have waited till now. I kind of jumped the gun on it. But anyways, I'm glad I didn't, because there's one guy in my comment section, thank you, said, if you want to look better, lose weight. Damn it, he's right, but thank you. Because that's what actually made me get serious again. So thank you. People say ignore the negative comments. No, if it's a good faith comment, don't ignore it. You know, I needed that. I needed that wake up call. Like, yeah, starting to get kind of borderline pudgy, you know, and I don't get on the scales to track that. So thank you, sir. Whoever that was, tell me if I want to look better, lose weight. You're right. I need to lose weight, so I am. So part of the idea with this video is just to share my experiences with weight loss. I know how to lose weight. I used to rely on intermittent fasting. The first time I tried it, wow, I lost a lot of weight. Unbelievable. I looked good. I was slender. I was where I wanted to be. But then I took a new job, and the stress of like learning the new job and pulling 10.5-hour shifts, I gained it back almost as soon as I started my office job. So I put it all back on. Intermittent fasting is wonderful. Listen to Dr. Jason Fung. He is a phenomenal expert on fasting. He is a doctor. There's so many good things that you can achieve through fasts. Fasting is a tool. Here's how weight loss works. Let me break it down for you, the science. Your body only uses 2 sources of fuel, sugar and fat. When it's burning sugar, it's not burning fat, period. When it's on sugar, when it's in glycolysis, glucose glycolysis, I'm sure you've heard the term ketosis, ketones. Ketones are fat. When you're in a state of glycolysis, you're not burning any fats. Sugar is an easy fuel source for your body to pull from. Dr. Jason Fung uses this analogy. He says, conceptualize it like this. You have your refrigerator, and then you have your freezer in the basement. What's easier, to go into your refrigerator and grab the food out of there and heat something up and eat it? That's basically blood sugar. That's basically glucose. Or would you rather go downstairs to your freezer and get meat and thaw it and then cook it and then eat it? Which is quicker? Obviously, it's the refrigerator. The refrigerator represents blood glucose. The deep freezer in the basement represents blood ketones. The term ketosis, the more you're in ketosis, the better. Yes, and to a large extent, I do agree. Though I'm going to be fully upfront, I still eat carbs. I still eat rice. I love it. I need it. I think I need it for optimal nutrition. Carbohydrates help your body process nutrients better. That's just a fact. And that's why I can't do carnivore. I can't do paleo. I need some carbs. And I also, you know what else I need? I need dairy. We've all heard the term lactose intolerant. I'm actually lactose persistent. The opposite of intolerant. I need lactose in my diet to feel my best. So this big attack against dairy is a complete psyop. It depends on your genetics. I know that gets controversial, but I am of European stock, and Europeans have been cultivating cows for thousands of years, and I have a very good relationship with dairy. I process it very well. I tolerate it extremely well. I could drink skim milk and go on a jog. That's how well I tolerate milk. And when I go without milk, when I go without dairy, I feel sick. I feel like I'm almost deteriorating. I need milk. Absolutely, it does a body good. Not everybody's body is oriented towards dairy, processing lactose, but I absolutely need it. Where I'm going with the fasting. So, sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place, but I have to. This is health. This is just how my brain works. Let me take it back to, you just ate your dinner at 5 o'clock, right? Pizza, tacos, whatever you had. Because of those carbohydrates that you ate, your body's now in a state of glycolysis. It's burning sugars. On average, you're going to be in a state of glycolysis now for 12 hours, depending on your caloric load, right? That can vary. If you ate a whole pizza, you're probably in glycolysis for the next 24 hours, right? So let's not kid ourselves here. But if you ate a single serving of carbs, let's say, a reasonable amount, typically your body will be in a state of glycolysis for 12 hours. So you ate at 5, typically by 5 in the morning the next day, you're out of glycolysis. You've now entered a state of ketosis. So if you don't eat, if you fast, let's say you just drink black coffee, let's say you stretch that out till 11. You have from 5 to 11, that's 6 hours of ketosis, burning blood ketones. You're tapping into your energy stores, because what's fat? It's stored energy. That's all it is. There's nothing wrong with using it. So what I used to do, I used to eat dinner at 5, and then I'd do a 24. I'd stretch it to 5. I wouldn't eat breakfast or lunch. I would stretch it. I would just drink black coffee throughout the day and then eat dinner. Where I started to self-sabotage there was I would just be thinking about food. I'd be hungry all day, miserable all day. And then when it came time for dinner, I would binge. And so fasting doesn't actually work very well. If you eat a 3,000 calorie dinner, you're plateauing. You're not losing weight. You're not making progress. The only way to lose weight is by creating a caloric deficiency. So ideal world, I'd have been eating at 5 o'clock and doing a 1,000 calorie. Then the weight would have continued to melt off. But I wasn't doing that. I was sitting down. We'd go to Cheesecake Factory. I'd eat all the bread. I'd get like a reasonably healthy thing like chicken tacos with rice and beans, eat all that. And so basically probably consuming 2,500, 3,000 calories, not losing a damn thing, right? So the body only burns 2 sources of fuel, sugar and fat. That's why fasting is such an effective tool. If you can use that, if you can tap into your body's blood ketones, that's the process through which fat your body starts unlocking the energy from your fats, puts ketones into your bloodstream, and it's a very level energy as opposed to sugar. When you take sugar, you're on the roller coaster. I call it the sugar roller coaster. You're going up, you're coming down, you're crashing. You're going up, you're coming down, you're crashing. Every time you take sugar, you have the energy, and then the blood sugar starts to dip. You get ravenously hungry. You're getting starving. You don't know what to do with yourself. You're making bad decisions. Then you eat something else, sugar or carbs, and then you come back up, zoop, 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 up and down, up and down. That's the sugar roller coaster. Okay, that's bad. You don't want to be on that sugar roller coaster. Unfortunately, a lot of people on the standard American diet, they live on that roller coaster. They never come off of that roller coaster. So when you're in a state of ketosis, when you're in a fasted state, you're just steady. It's just steady. It's like being on an, as opposed to a roller coaster. You're just cruising along. You don't have bursts, but you don't have lows. You don't have highs, you don't have dips, just steady. And we'll cover this later in the video, what I actually eat. But so far, you've only seen me consume black coffee and my nicotine lozenges. The nicotine lozenges give me a good burst of energy, slow release, cognitive function, helps me out cognitively, helps me organize my thoughts, it helps me stay motivated. Like I said, there's no cheating in the universe. That dopamine release you get from nicotine, don't abuse it. Use it responsibly. Popular YouTube doctor, he's a Scientologist, his name escapes me, Dr. Berg. Some of the people that I'm going to be talking about in this video are hypocrites, are known charlatans. I don't think Dr. Berg is that. He's a Scientologist. I think Scientology is weird. Watch his video. He's so smart. He's so wise when it comes to health, and he looks fantastic. He does a lot of fasting. He has absolutely amazing health advice. Just because he's a Scientologist doesn't mean he's not speaking the truth when he's talking about health. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to health. Anyways, Dr. Berg says that intermittent fasting is a powerful tool, but when you come off a fast, the first thing you should eat is protein. So recently, I started buying these little venison bars, 12 grams of protein, 1 carb, 130 calories. Yes, I'm counting calories. Here we are back in some familiar territory, and thank you guys for even entertaining this video. My recent trip to Colorado, that hike, I talked about how I sort of feel sort of typecast as the boot guy, because it's a fraction of my personality. It really is. I'm into so much more. Most of my diet, my informational diet, I'm going through true crime, I'm going through health, nutrition, I'm going through politics, I'm going through all of it. You know, there's nothing I'm not curious about. That's what's wonderful about today's world is you can pursue any knowledge you want. Next subject, we're going to be talking about essential aminos. Now, during my recent podcast with my buddy Jason Wright at the Jason Wright show, he said that if he could go to an island, he could only bring 2 things with him. It would be essential aminos and creatine. I've always had a bad experience with creatine. It bloats me out. I just don't like it very much. I don't like what it does to my body, and I've never been the type that wanted to bulk on muscle, so I don't do creatine. And in fact, per his recommendation, I ordered more creatine. Sure enough, I took a small dose of it, my face just blew up. Blah. So I'm not so much a creatine guy, but he was 100% spot on for essential aminos. What are the essential aminos? Well, depending on where you look, there's 8 or 9 of them that your body doesn't make, and you get a lot of them from meat. And so I ordered the Perfect Amino capsules. I also tried these essential amino acids from Doublewood, a company I trust quite a bit. I started on the essential aminos and I didn't notice a big change, mostly because I wasn't doing the dosing right. I was doing 2 a day in the morning. Serving size is 3 times daily, sometimes 5 times daily. So you're looking at between 9 and 15 capsules. I was only doing 2. Not nearly enough. So, but I found I actually like Perfect Aminos better. If you go look up Perfect Aminos, it goes through this whole thing about protein conversion. So when I did start losing weight, I was doing a lot of lean protein shakes. Then I started to kind of plateau. And then I heard about Perfect Aminos. I listened to their pitch. It's basically all about protein conversion. A lot of the whey protein and protein shakes that you take, a lot of that doesn't get converted into protein. What you need are the essential aminos to actually convert that into protein. Now, there was this big craze about branched chain amino acid, BCAAs, though I think a lot of that has turned out recently to just look like hype. There wasn't really any good science behind the BCAAs, but the essential aminos, absolutely, I can tell you with full confidence now that I've been doing a much higher dose recently and I feel incredible. Anecdotally, what I can tell you is I feel a lot more put together. just in general, because what essential aminos do is it doesn't focus on protein intake. It focuses on protein synthesis. It's a completely different process, but it's turning your proteins into protein, into muscle. It really helps your body convert with the protein conversion. When you're just taking a protein shake with no help, a lot of that's just going through you. A lot of that's actually getting you converted into sugar, sometimes even into fat. It gets converted into sugar through a process called gluconeogenesis. Now, your body will do this anyways with your own muscle. If you are extremely low body fat, you need energy, your body will break down your muscle and convert that into usable energy through a process called gluconeogenesis. Gluco meaning sugar, neo meaning new, genesis meaning creation, creating new sugar. It'll do that to your muscles too. It'll do that with your protein shakes as well. Again, I'm not a scientist. That's just my sort of bro science understanding of how it all works. They say to take this first thing in the morning while on a fast, and then depending on your daily requirements, you might want to do more. Now what I do, I don't take it as a dose. This stuff, this mixed berry, it's so delicious. There's no sugar in it. It's got stevia and it's got some of those other non-glycemic sweeteners, and I can't tell, it tastes so dang good. Anyways, so I just drink this throughout the day. I just do a single serving, and I'll drink 2 or 3 of these a day. So this is normally the first like real flavored thing that I actually consume in the day. Got my Nalgene, shake that baby up. What are the claims? It helps build lean muscle, boost performance, speed recovery. Perfect Amino dietary supplement is utilized up to 99% to help build new protein, muscle, and collagen without the caloric impact and without breaking a fast. 1 scoop provides 5 grams with utilization comparable to dietary protein consumption of 29 grams of whey or 15 grams of protein or 10 eggs. So 1 scoop of this is comparable to basically 30 grams of whey, 15 grams of meat, or 10 grams of eggs. It contains 8 essential amino acids: leucine, valine, isoleucine, lysine, HCI, phenylalanine, threonine, methionine, and tryptophan. It contains natural mixed berries flavor, citric acid, stevia leaf extract, and sunflower lecithin. Take 1 scoop 1 to 3 times daily as needed. Mix with 8 to 12 ounces of cold water or juice. The true science of protein. My double wood essential amino acids has a 9th amino acid that the perfect aminos don't have, and it's histidine. It's got histidine in it. Now I looked up each one of these essential aminos. It's not clear to me whether or not histidine is absolutely necessary. The 8 contained in this all have their own unique function, ranging from brain health to muscle recovery, metabolism, protein conversion, all this stuff. Anyways, I can tell you, since I really started upping the dose just this week, I noticed a huge difference. Community consensus seems to say that the essential aminos definitely help with a fast. It makes you feel full and satiated during a fast, which is really weird. There's nothing else that I really have found that I could do that make me feel actually satiated. Having something that you can consume throughout the day that doesn't break a fast is miraculous. And yeah, when I'm just drinking this, I'm happy. I'm not hungry. I'm not desiring other food. I'm not saying, oh, I want a sandwich. Oh, I want a breakfast sandwich. Oh, I want eggs. I want chicken. Nothing. I don't want anything when I have this. It tastes really good. It doesn't taste 0 calorie, even though it basically is. It's very low calorie, similar to a black coffee. I'll just drink on that. The other thing that I've found, I think probably every man should be on, is nitric oxide. It's extremely safe. This stuff, it's in a lot of powders already, fitness powders. But this is another non-negotiable for me. I take 2 of these a day. What it is, essentially, it's a beet derivative. It's L-arginine. So it contains L-arginine, L-citrulline, and beta-alanine, and some calcium. But essentially what it's supposed to do, you're supposed to use 2 capsules a day, preferably 20 to 30 minutes before a meal. It supports muscle growth and workout recovery, natural energy support, helps workout performance. Yes, it does. Ever since I started taking it, my workouts have really felt a boost. And even further with the essential aminos. It's incredibly healthy for you. I think any man, any male should be on it. Any male after 30s, again, not a doctor, 30s, 40s, should all be on nitric oxide. Very good for the heart, very good for cardiovascular health. So next, I'm going to take you outside. I'm going to show you battle ropes. This is a game changer. Battle ropes turned my breasts into chests. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with a channel on YouTube called V-Shred. Now V-Shred, they're constantly hawking products. They're constantly V-Shred, the guy behind the brand, the face of it, very good looking guy, super ripped, super in shape. A lot of what he says is sort of bro science, but there is a lot of wisdom in some of the things he says. One of the things that he talked about was HIIT training, high intensity interval training, otherwise known as HIIT, HIIT. He said you could eat donuts and pizza. He'll eat donuts and pizza on camera while he's just totally shredded if you're doing these HIIT trainings. Now, I don't believe that to have that physique you can allow yourself any of that stuff, frankly. Maybe he's young. Maybe he's got really good genetics. One of the best high-intensity interval trainings that I see a lot of the celebrities, Chris Hemsworth, they're doing battle ropes. And I'll take you outside in a minute. I'm going to do some battle ropes. It really helps all the connective tissue throughout your arms. Now, to give a little background on my training, on my muscle workouts, I started doing push-ups as a young kid. I was probably 13. I joined a group local to me at the time called the Young Marine. Went to their Young Marine boot camp. It was hard. It was harder than Air Force boot camp. That got me started on doing push-ups. I would do 100 push-ups a day. Eventually I graduated to 150. Eventually I moved it up to 200 a day. Every day, push-ups. 200 push-ups every day as a teen. That really, I think, built up a foundation of chest and arm up here. So even when I don't work my chest or arms, I still kind of always have it. I think it's just kind of a permanent part of my frame now because I did so many dang push-ups as a young man. I also bought one of those general all-purpose weight machines. I'll take you in there in a minute too. You know, one of the cheap ones. It was like $400. Put it together yourself. You get it from Dick's Sporting Goods. It's just the general standard issue bench lateral pull down bar. Anyways, I started using it because since I'm an old man now, I actually have pretty bad carpal tunnel in both wrists, so I can't get down and do push-ups anymore. I can't. It hurts too bad. The only way I could do push-ups is on my fists, and when I do that, regardless of how safely or well I do it with my push-up bars or whatnot, it still puts a huge strain on my lower back, and that strain, I'll feel it for weeks after I do push-ups. So I just don't do push-ups anymore. I can't. I have to be realistic with myself. I'm not young anymore. You know, I've thrown my back out too many times. So I can't do push-ups, but what I can do is I can do the bench press on my exercise machine. But I noticed, because I still had a significant amount of body fat, love handles, I still do, it's slowly coming off. When I would do the bench press, I noticed that my breasts would get bigger because it's not a chest, they're breasts. As I'd build up muscle, it just pushed the fat. It just made me look like I had bigger man boobs. Not good. What do the battle ropes do? They do what the bench press can't. The bench press is just all like one area of the chest, really, and arms. The battle ropes is a completely different movement. It's a completely different intensity. You're basically doing this, and it rips you all up, all through here, all the connective tissue, all along your arms. Really fills out that upper chest too, that I've found that was lacking. And so the battle ropes have been a game changer for me. I see some fitness people sort of clown the battle ropes, like, oh yeah, I just have my clients get on battle ropes just to keep them busy before the next big, like, no, I'm sorry, that's completely wrong. Battle ropes are a miraculous exercise. If you're training for boxing or any sort of fighting high intensity activity like that sport, battle ropes are an absolute must. It's not hype, it's not an illusion, it's not a distraction. They're the real deal. When I did it, when I do it, I just feel so shredded, and it happens quickly. I do about 3 sessions, sometimes 4, and I usually count in my head. They say, oh, do it by time, but I count in my head. I try to do 100. I'll take you out there and do some. But it really filled out my upper chest. It really filled out just all the connective tissue. It turns your beach muscles into really functional muscles. The CrossFit dudes do battle ropes too. They're a game changer, seriously. And they're cheap. I ordered mine for $32 on Amazon. They came the next day. I wrapped them around a tree in the front yard, and I go out there probably every 3-4 days. And when I'm going to do battle ropes in a day, I don't do them every day, but probably twice a week. I go out there and I'll do some, come back inside, rest a little bit, go out, do another session to exhaustion, rest a little bit, go out, do another session. Once I feel that my arms have sort of burnt themselves out enough, then I'll quit. That's one thing. If you're taking in high amounts of protein, you want to use that protein, you want it to go somewhere. So in my case, it's going to the arms. So yeah, that's another thing about fitness, is knowing who to trust. Like I said, listen to everybody who's putting out a message about fitness. You be the judge as to whether they're a charlatan or not. V-Shred, he's kind of come out and proven to be somewhat of a hack. He's mostly just a salesman, but he got me on the battle ropes. So thank you, V-Shred. I found another guy, Dr. Mike, I think his name is. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below. He rates different celebrities' physiques, and sort of he rates their training and says what he thinks is good, what he thinks is bad. There's another guy who's been on Joe Rogan many times, the guy from the More Plates, More Dates channel. I just discovered his channel. It's going to lead me to another topic I want to talk about, which is comparing yourself to celebrities and their physiques. One thing to keep in mind, he did the guy from Tarzan. He's covered More Plates, More Dates has covered Chris Hemsworth. Spoiler alert, a lot of these guys are on steroids. Chris Hemsworth, not natural, absolutely on steroids. He took Chris Hemsworth's transformation from a generally pretty well in shape dude to just this jacked superhero, God of Thunder. Steroids. You can get them prescribed legally. A lot of bodybuilders are on them. More Plates, More Dates is on steroids. Joe Rogan's on steroids. The Rock, steroids. It's believed. But it's pretty obvious when you watch these channels. They expose a lot of celebrities are on steroids. Now, point being, when you compare yourselves to these guys on screen, first off, yes, they're probably using steroids and or testosterone injections, but also they don't even look like that all the time. In order to look like they do when they're going to do a shirtless scene, what they do before that, they're doing several things to prepare to look like. They're pumping iron before the scene. They're also probably dehydrating themselves to a certain degree. They're also probably fasted for a lengthy period of time before they get onto that screen. They only look like that for that scene. When they come off shooting, they then start drinking water again. They start eating again normally. And then throughout the rest of the movie, they're not going to look like that without the shirt on. So that's another thing, like comparing yourselves and thinking you have to look like that all the time. It's completely not real. Even some of the best bodybuilders, they have dad bods. Look at Jason Momoa. He has somewhat of a dad bod between movies. He stays in shape, but for those scenes specifically, those shirtless scenes, they know that there's millions of dollars at stake. Tons of ego and tons of attention is going to be on them. They make sure pinnacle for just those few when they're going to be shirtless. So my outlook is like, look at these guys, aspire for that, admire that, but never expect to look like that yourself. For me at least, I don't. Anyways, enough talking. Let's go do some battle ropes. So I did my battle ropes, didn't film the whole thing, but I did a few sessions of them, and my muscles do feel a little weak, but what's crazy is these essential aminos really are taking off. I am hitting a lull in energy. I just moved around for about an hour doing laundry, chores, carrying stuff around the house. It is amazing how many products now contain the essential aminos. So I just found this stuff literally 5 days ago. This is called Amino Lean. Again, I'm not sponsored by these people. I'm just sharing. There's only 5 calories in this whole can. Like I said, I'm hitting a bit of an energy lull. It not only contains the essential aminos, it also has 200 milligrams of caffeine from green tea leaves, carbonated water, citric acid. It's got caffeine from green tea leaves, amino acid blend. It's got leucine, isoleucine, valine, L-citrulline, theanine, tyrosine, taurine. Then it's got vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid, malic acid, carnitine, L-tartrate. Yeah, there's 200 milligrams of caffeine in here. And normally in the afternoons for an energy pick-me-up, I'll go to Starbucks, I'll get their Grande Nitro cold brew, and I'll actually nurse that for about 2-3 days. Cold brew doesn't go bad like drip coffee does, because there's a whole thing. When you cook the beans, it produces acid, and that acid actually builds up throughout the day. Cold brew, it's actually not cold brew, it's actually room temperature brew. The way that it works is it steeps, so it's not rapidly cooked and run through the grinds. It actually steeps in the grinds for a period of 12 to 24 hours, preferably 24. Really develops a robust flavor profile, just packed full of coffee. It's true coffee. I think the way coffee was meant to be drank. It is delicious. And here's the other thing, you could also heat it up if you want it hot. But cold brew, what I call room temperature brew, because it's not cold, is just a really beautiful rounded out coffee flavor, and it is hyper concentrated, much more concentrated than your typical drip coffee. So for that reason, you don't need it as much. Like I nurse that thing. I take hits off of it, and each hit has a lot of caffeine in it. So like I say, I nurse it for 2 to 3 days. It doesn't taste bad. Drip coffee does after a prolonged period of time. Your typical cold brew lasts about 2 weeks in the fridge. And so I'll just nurse it, drink a third of it probably in an afternoon, throw it in the fridge. If I need extra, I'll drink half the thing, but I don't really monitor it. These aren't hard and fast rules. But anyways, since starting on these amino leans, I haven't felt the need for cold brew. They're just so damn tasty. I really like this sparkling cherry lime flavor. There's only 5 calories, but it tastes like there's a lot more. Like, I don't know how they're doing it. It must be the sucralose or the stevia. Or sucralose tastes pretty dang close to sugar. Anyways, it tastes like, to me, cherry 7-Up. But obviously, I don't drink soda. Oh, but it's so good. Refrigerate that thing. It's so refreshing. I was just out doing some yard work and really hits the spot. Really brings out a different dimension of energy. Not to mention all those essential aminos. But I am excited because the next phase of the video, I'm going to be doing a protein shake. I'm going to show you what I do for that. I'm excited. It's protein shake time. Best time of the day. So I did eat one more venison bar in between, so that's 2 things I ate today. So, protein time. I choose specifically casein or casein protein. I don't know how to say it, but it's a slow release protein. Again, I'm not bulking. I'm not going for explosive muscles. I'm not going for massive gains, in which case whey would be the preferred. It's much more quickly absorbing protein. My goal, slow absorbing while getting enough and keeping it as low calorie as possible. That's why I combine it with Fairlife Skim. In a cup, there's 80 calories, 0 fat. I mentioned it in my unhinged Colorado hike that a common phrase used by paleo nuts is, fat doesn't make you fat, sugar makes you fat. But that's very stupid. Fat also makes you fat. If you eat too much fat, you'll also get fat. If you're going paleo or keto, and you eat 5 avocados a day and 2 ribeyes, you're still going to get fat. You need to focus on calories in, calories out. And my focus these days is keeping my fat intake down. Sugar intake down, absolutely. Fat intake down, also. My focus right now, lean protein intake. So this casein protein is just delicious. I just ordered a new brand, but this brand here, Dimetize, is pretty highly rated on Amazon. In 2 scoops, there's 130 calories, and there's 25 grams of protein. I just ordered this new stuff, 29 grams of protein with 100 calories. So these 30 calories less than this stuff. This is delicious. I love the beautiful malty taste that it has. I did the 2 scoops protein. Also going to do a little bit of chia seeds, not much, just a teaspoon. Chia seeds claim to be sort of high in calories, but I have a theory on that because when they come out, they're not cracked, they're still in their full form. I don't think you're actually absorbing many calories from the chia seeds. That's just my sort of assumption. I don't think you're getting much out of chia seeds other than fiber. And the fiber is the key here because protein's kind of hard on the gut. All right, and then so I always add an extra heaping spoonful of cacao because cacao does a lot for your body. Mental focus, mood, natural mood booster. 1 teaspoon of this contains 15 calories, 1 gram of protein, half a gram of fat, 0 sugar, 2 grams of dietary fiber. I could go on and on about the health benefits of cacao, but point being, I never let a good day go by without it. Among centenarians, one thing that they always usually have in common is they consume cacao on a daily basis. Incredibly healthy for you if you're eating the right stuff. This is also organic and very high grade cacao. I'm not talking about Hershey's bars or Twix or Snickers or any of that junk. I fill it up right past the shaker with skim milk, and then I add my powders, and the rest, again, because I'm cutting calories, otherwise I'd go all the way up to the top with milk, but the rest I'm doing water. 0 calorie. So I'm gonna get the water and I'm gonna shake her up. I estimate there's probably about 40 grams of protein in here, and the whole thing is probably roughly 250 calories. So not bad. My goal calories right now is about 1,800 a day. Again, I'm going for slow fat loss, not for fast, and I'm trying to go for permanent lifestyle changes. So, delish. Let's keep talking protein. While it is true that I primarily focus my protein intake on casein, bodybuilders also drink this at night so that they get slow absorption throughout the night. That's not to say that I don't use whey. I do quite like whey. I probably use whey 3 times a week as opposed to casein. It's every day of the week. Whey is also really good. Like I said, it's quicker absorbing. And I just noticed that this whey actually does contain some creatine, so expect my face to bloat out during the course of this video. I just mixed up a second shake. It was recently referred to me, I believe that all diets have wisdom, and someone who's a vegetarian said, oh, you got to try the pea protein powder. So I ordered this big tub of Vega pea protein. It's 100% plant-based protein. Tastes like garbage. It is disgusting. I did 1 shake with it, never again. If this is going to be the majority of what I'm consuming on a day-to-day basis, I have to actually like it. Sorry, but whey, casein, milk-based proteins, in my opinion, are way better for you. Again, depending on your body type. Yeah, 30 grams of protein, 100 calories, 5 carbs. This is garbage. This sucks. I hate it with every fiber of my being, in fact. And then also recently, I was talking about roids earlier. No, not hemorrhoids, but steroids. And it turns out a popular recent clickbaity viral health influencer known as the Liver King, who I never really followed, but he preached things like, he does crazy stunts, you know, for viral views. He eats raw organs, raw livers, consumes a lot of raw eggs and stuff. He talks about tanning his, well, he tans certain parts of his body that would probably get you arrested if you were found in public doing it. I believe the PC term is perineum. He tans his perineum. That said, I do believe that, you know, sun exposure is very good for you. Get off on another tangent. The breatharians, I think they're crazy, but they are right about one thing. Taking deep breaths and enjoying some sunlight on your skin, on your body, is 100% good for you. This whole move against natural sun exposure is really just another psyop, I think, designed to keep us sick. We need vitamin D, and for my body type, 20 minutes of full body sun exposure every day is what's recommended. After seeing the Liver King, an email exchange between him and a physician was leaked, I think sometime in 2021. Anyways, he was freely, for years he'd been going on podcasts claiming that he's all natural, no steroids, no help. And in this email exchange, it's very clear he admits to all these different steroids he's been using for years. A list. A few other health influencers that I quite trust kind of exposed him for being a fraud. Now, that said, what I said earlier about even if they are a charlatan, even if they are a fraud, that doesn't mean what they're saying is incorrect. And a lot of what Liver King says is good stuff. He's trying to get men out of depression, off medication. He's trying to get them eating better diets, lifting heavier things. And these are great things. These are great messages. If you just listen to his message, it'd be great. He does have this other thing about the 7 ancestral tenets that he sort of came up with, invented, in my opinion. And a lot of that, yeah, there's some wisdom in some of that, but I think a lot of that is just window dressing. Come look at me, come look at my channel, come look at all the crazy stunts I'm doing. But yeah, it came out that he's been on steroids. And when you look at him, it's pretty obvious. I've gotten to the point now, I've watched enough of this where I could sort of tell who's on roids and who isn't. He's 100% on steroids. In all the controversy, I decided to give his protein a try. After hearing about what a fraud he was, that's what caused me to buy his product. So this is the Whole Feast protein powder. It's milk chocolate flavored, whole food nourishment. And listen to all these buzz terms. Grass-fed nose to tail protein blend. Catch that? Grass-fed, right? Buzz term. Nose to tail, that's a new one. Protein blend, and as I read it, it's all just the most intense. As I read this, if hair isn't growing out of your chest, then I'm very surprised. For millions of years, robust strength was central to our existence. For millions of years. We were once the fittest version of ourselves, descendants of the sole surviving species of genus Homo, the baddest mammalian predators that ever lived. During this time, we consumed the whole animal, nose to tail, bones and blood, horns to hooves. And perhaps of equal importance, we performed the kind of backbreaking hard work that would determine who would live and who would die. That's our barbaric lineage. In the modern world, we choose progress in the form of processed foods and pencil-pushing desk jobs over nutrient-dense foods, nose-to-tail nourishment, and hard work, voluntary physical resistance. Our barbaric forefathers selectively prized these ancestral superfoods to build strength, power, and earth-conquering dominance. To be certain, this is how our great ancestors fueled their exhaustive effort. Blood-burning, can't breathe, heart-racing, move mountains, I'm gonna die effort. Learn more at thefittest.com. Nose to tail, bones and blood, horns to hooves. Alright, so the ingredients are grass-fed whole feast blend. We've got beef protein isolates, beef organ powder blend, heart, liver, kidney, spleen, pancreas, bone, and blood, colostrum powder, beef tallow, also used in leather, natural flavors, cacao powder, alkalized cacao powder, L-leucine, Himalayan rock salt, stevia leaf extract, monk fruit extract, sunflower lecithin. All right, and so we got in 100 calories, we got 1 gram of fat, 21 grams of protein, and so I was pumped to try it, and I'm gonna be fully honest with you. It tastes disgusting. It is so gross. I can't stomach it. You could tell that there's blood. You could tell that there's liver in it. It's just disgusting. And when you mix that with the sweet stevia and then you put cacao in there, it just is not a good palatable experience. I had one shake and I'm not doing it again. I am on board with most of this stuff that's in here. I do agree that yes, men need to return to being real men again. That would be wonderful. I don't know that there's much evidence to support that they ate the whole animal. Yes, did they use the hides? Yes. But even really poor tribes in modern areas of the world, they don't always eat the intestines. They sometimes discard the gross stuff. Like, it's okay to discard that stuff. And they weren't these burly cavemen, comical caricature that you have in your head. Maybe some of them were, but probably most people throughout history were just average Joes, you know. This idea of this barbaric shaman jacked out of his mind, that never existed. It's all a circus act. But again, Liver King, he has more subscribers than he's ever had. He got caught in a scandal. That's okay. I don't care. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all capable of good and evil. These people don't always live by what they preach, and that's okay. Like, after this, am I going to go order Dairy Queen? No, but I guarantee you, sometime in the distant future, when I'm satisfied with where I'm at and I want to have a little cheat here and there, I might do Dairy Queen. I might have the occasional indulgence, but I think there's wisdom in every diet, even breatharianism, as crazy as that is. Don't become a breatharian. You will die. You'll die without food. There's a lot of crazy people in the health world, and I think you have to be a little crazy to be willing to experiment with things and experiment on your body and to try to better yourself. To try to better yourself, it almost innately requires that you get a little crazy, think outside the box, think, what could I do to break this paradigm, this box that I'm in health-wise. And for years, I was just slowly gaining weight. I had a lot of mental roadblocks that prevented me from feeling hunger and or from following through with some extreme fasting. Now I've got a hold on it. I think I'm going in the right direction now. I think the half a pound a week is a realistic goal, and I'm keeping my eyes on the prize, and I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying this stuff. I enjoy these protein shakes. They're very tasty. They're very filling. I'm full right now, and I know that I just got most of my day's protein requirements in just now. Now I am going to have dinner later. The chia seeds are to help with digestion, because protein powder on its own with milk isn't going to be very good. Your digestive system is going to have a hard time pushing all that through. That's why the chia seeds. The cacao, it's got black pigments, it's got brown pigments, it's got purple pigments in it. Black is for longevity. Brown, makes you go to the bathroom. The purple is nervous system support. If you buy into the whole pigments are sort of nature's instructions for what a food is going to do to your body. A lot of protein, and protein powders today are very well engineered. Oh, also, there's something on this Liver King protein powder that said, we need to get away from processed foods. Actually, Dr. Mike, the scientist / bodybuilder who's also on steroids, freely admits it. He made a good point recently. You know what else is processed? This whey protein powder, this casein protein powder, highly processed. It's processed out the wazoo. But the macros on them are incredible. The amount of protein that you're getting for calories is just incredible. The amount of lean protein you're getting specifically is unreal, and this is incredibly nutritious, incredibly good for you. You're really synthesizing the most bang for your buck, the most protein, lean protein, and you're not going to get that with standard milk. You're not going to get that with standard issue meat even. Meat is not as efficient as these powders are at delivering broken down proteins to your muscles as well as this stuff is. I mean, they pulverize it. They add in stuff to make it taste good without upping the calories. They do a really good job with protein powders now. In fact, it's hard to go wrong. There's so many options too. So these are far better options than what existed when I was a teen. I think they were adding all kinds of sugars to the protein shakes and all this other stuff that just, it'd be a 15-gram protein shake, but that thing would be like 500 calories or like 400 calories. Now you can get 30 grams of protein in about 160 calories. That's really, really good. So anyways, I'll shut up about protein shakes now and the Liver King, and see you in the next segment. As promised, I said I would man spread in the video. There you go. You're welcome. All right. What's a little mansplaining without a little man spreading? I'm doing low weight, high reps. That's the goal. I'm only doing 50 pounds. Not trying to get super massive. I'm not trying to put a huge amount of stress. I'm going for resistance and high repetition, because I just want ripped, lean muscle. I don't want big, bulky, massive Hulk muscles, if that makes sense. And then so I'll work both muscle groups. I'll work it down here and up here as well. And the reason I put this pillow behind me is so that I can get more range of motion. The further you are advanced, the more higher range of motion you're getting. So as opposed to here, this range, I'm getting the full thing, right? So this machine wasn't designed very well, but I'm too lazy to get a gym membership and then have to run errands to work out. I'd rather just have this stuff at home so I can do it in my normal clothes, you know? I'm not gonna get sweaty, so this is just the clothes I work in, these are clothes I live my life in, and I can work out in them too. It's time for a nightcap. I'm the type of man, I enjoy a drink at the end of the day. I know this is controversial. I know a lot of health nuts say drinking is bad, but I enjoy my drink. I enjoy doing it in moderation and responsibly. I take it very seriously. And so I have my little glass, and my alcohol of choice is no coincidence. I go for the most, quote, keto-friendly option. Beer, horrible. Even light beer, it's pretty bad. Wine, high sugars, high calories, low alcohol. What I do is I typically do vodka. Currently my favorite vodka is this stuff. It's called POW, Maui vodka. This was made in Maui. Believe it or not, I was in Maui last summer, and I bought an extra suitcase to load my suitcase full of this stuff because I tasted it and I loved it so much. It's pineapple vodka. It's made from fermented pineapples. It has a real sweet pineapple-y finish. It tastes like normal vodka until it's on the way down. You can just catch a hint of pineapple. So it's 40% alcohol, so your standard strength for vodka. It's distilled from pineapple grain and natural Hawaiian spring water. Masterfully handcrafted in Maui, Hawaii. What's really funny is when I was out there, I bought that suitcase to load up because I wanted to bring it back. I didn't think I could get it here in Maryland. So I bought a bunch of the, what size is this? This is 1.75 liters. So I bought a bunch of the smaller bottles, I think about half this size, 1 liter, I think. I think a 1.75 out in Maui was about $38 a bottle. I'm like, well, I better buy it here. It's gonna be cheaper. So I load up on it, and then we get back, and it turns out the Total Wine near me in Laurel that I always go to is selling it for about $34 for the same size. So it's like, wait, somehow by traveling 2,000 miles, 1,500 miles from Hawaii to the DC area, somehow shaves about 10% off the cost. Traveling basically halfway around the globe reduces reduces the cost by 10%. Make that make sense. I don't know why that is. You know, in Hawaii they do have drink taxes on all imported drinks. It's called the beverage tax. So anytime you order a Coke or anytime you order a beer or anything, there's sales tax and then there's beverage tax on top of that because it has to be imported. This doesn't have to be imported, so why does it cost more? It doesn't make any sense other than price gouging. They know they can get away with it, and they probably know that this stuff isn't going to be very popular in Maryland. Probably nobody's heard of this. So I definitely never heard of it or was even tempted by it until I had been there and saw them sold at the local ABC stores right next to the Masubi sushi sandwiches. Why do I enjoy alcohol? It's a good way to relax at the end of the day. It also puts me to sleep. Bryan Johnson is that guy that's kind of famous right now because he's that billionaire who's doing all kinds of, he's using himself as a guinea pig. He's doing all kinds of research on himself, on genetics. He's like in his 50s, but genetically he's like 20 years younger than that. I follow him, I listen to him. Like I said, everybody has wisdom. Sometimes you just gotta listen to him. I'm not the type to completely cast someone aside because of one scandal or another. Now don't get me wrong, I look at Bryan Johnson and he's obviously extremely creepy. He definitely gives off vampire vibes, if I'm being honest. He definitely gives off like Edward from the Twilight series vibe. Very creepy, very pale looking. He's obviously like in his 50s trying to look like a teenager. It's weird. It's very strange. But I do like a few things that he says, like I make every calorie fight for its life. And by that means he's living at a constant calorie deficit. He has very low body fat. He's in extremely good shape. He spends his whole day eating vegetables, basically. No meats. He works out like all day long. And he focuses on sleep. He goes to bed every night at 8:30. He's looking for a girlfriend, and he's very open about it. He's like, hey, look, you will not be my first priority. Like, my first priority is this health project that I'm on, trying to live as long as I can. And how does it relate to alcohol? Well, his whole regimen is dictated by some sort of AI algorithm or something. Like, basically he asked it, if I wanted to live as long as possible at any expense under any extreme circumstance, what exactly do I need to do every day to achieve the longest life possible? this is what the algorithm is telling him essentially, according to what I understand about him. He drinks an ounce and a half of alcohol every day at about 11:30 in the morning. It's very strange. He doesn't mention what kind, but he does drink. And he drinks at a very specific time and a very specific amount, and I don't exactly know why. I've never really seen him explain it fully. He explains other things in great detail. A very fascinating guy, but very creepy at the same time. But that said, some of the greatest revelations come out of people who are batshit crazy. That's why I follow him. That's why I listen to him. You can't trust any man all the way. Don't trust me all the way. But listen to what I have to say. Some of it will resonate. A lot of it won't. That's okay. Maybe come back to this video later. Check back in on it in a year or something. Maybe there's something you overlooked. But I just really wanted to do a day in the life. Show you what I do every day. My crazy practices to try to stay young and stay happy, stay fit. But I quite like alcohol. I am religious. I know a lot of you atheists out there don't want to hear it, but wine was Jesus' first miracle. I believe, like nicotine, we're meant to enjoy spirits. We're meant to do it within limits, within boundaries, within moderation. Like anything, I know a lot of people, they're obese and they say, oh, well, I don't drink. It's like, yeah, but you abuse sugar. I know that the body processes alcohol the same way it does sugar. I'm under no illusions right now that I'm not burning body fat, because the body basically processes alcohol the same way that it processes sugar. It stops ketosis immediately. Basically, the body immediately starts trying to use the liver to filter this out of the system. I'm under no illusions, right? I enjoy it though. If I followed a diet or a lifestyle that included no enjoyment, then why am I even here, right? And so that's why we have to decide for ourselves, like, what's worth it? Because every enjoyment comes at a cost. And for me, a little bit of vodka at the end of the day, it's the lowest glycemic index alcohol you could basically drink. Whiskey's a little higher, but yeah, basically your 40% liquors, your whiskeys, your bourbons, your vodkas, your gins, those are gonna be the safest over ice. Don't add anything else. Don't go adding sugars or mixers. I don't want to get into the whole anatomy of a cocktail. If you just want to enjoy alcohol, then find a good base liquor that you enjoy. Avoid the wines. If you can't, that said, no, wine's fine. If you want to do a glass of red wine that's good quality, that's fine. Beer, okay, that's a lot of extra carbs. Just like my protein shakes, I want my protein shakes to be lean, packed full of protein, low fat. Same with my alcohol. Lean as possible, while still getting the desired effect, which is relax, celebrate the day. That's why I do it, and it's so clean. A lot of people talk about, oh, drinking it's so bad because you have the hangover the next day. I have a theory about that I never hear anybody else talk about, so I'll share it here. I've only gotten a hangover from cheap liquor. My theory behind that is cheap liquor include a lot of what's called grain alcohol, low quality grain alcohol. So for example, any liquor that comes in a plastic bottle, right? Let's talk tequila. If you see a $10 bottle of tequila in a plastic bottle, 90% of that is grain liquor. It could say agave or whatever on there. Real tequila is supposed to be 100% agave, but there is, similar to the olive oil industry, the tequila industry, I think, for the longest time, it's finally starting to turn around now, but the tequila industry in particular, I think, was shady as shit. They're calling the stuff tequila, but what it really is, Jose Cuervo and below, is garbage. It's going to be mostly grain liquors. Grain liquors are basically junk liquors, probably closer to rubbing alcohol than actually being a spirit. But yeah, whenever I drink Jose Cuervo or anything out of a plastic bottle, which I haven't in over a decade, I always have a headache the next day, and I associate that with the grain liquors. You hear other anecdotes. Oh, people say, oh, don't mix liquor, or don't mix your booze. Don't go drinking shots of whiskey and then wine and then beer. Don't mix it. It's like, no, that's stupid. If you're drinking all high quality spirits, it doesn't matter what you mix, essentially. If you're drinking highly filtered, small batch, handmade liquors, then chances are you're okay. If it comes in a glass bottle, $35 and up, chances are you're okay. That said, I've found some liquors that were a little bit more expensive, and they do give me a headache. Sky Vodka gives me a headache. I can't name them all off the top of my head, but point being, sometimes you just gotta test it out for yourself. I've never gotten a headache from POW Maui vodka. So that comes highly recommended by me. I always say the hangover the next day is due to the quality of what you were drinking the night before. If you loaded up on a bunch of shitty cocktails filled with schnapps, filled with Jägermeister, filled with Fireball, you're gonna have the worst day of your life the next day. But if you're drinking clean, you know, just like our meat, I harp on the quality of the meat that I consume. If we enjoy alcohol, harp on the quality of the liquor we consume as well. So this isn't very expensive, 34 bucks a bottle. Yeah, I quite enjoy it. This is handcrafted among the trade winds and sugarcane fields of Haleakala Crater in upcountry Maui, which I did hike that crater. POW Maui vodka is distilled in small batches from a proprietary blend using Maui Gold pineapples. Truly artisan, our master distiller utilizes custom designed stills and crystal clear Hawaiian spring water to create a clean and pure experience for even the most discriminating palate. Great lengths are taken to ensure that this vodka possesses the best of the islands. We take great care of what goes into our vodka, and more importantly, what does not. So there you go. They're obviously doing it right. I have other examples of good vodkas and gins, but we don't need to stretch it out any longer. It's been one heck of a project putting this all together. So many things come into my head throughout the filming of this. So many new ideas. Oh, I should have said this. I should have said this. I tend to be long-winded anyways. But I think the key takeaway to everything when it comes to health, for me anyways, when I decide I'm going to get serious, it comes down to how I frame things mentally, right? And there's a few core things that I have in my brain and in my core approach to fitness that I think a lot of people might not have ever been exposed to or knew about. I have mentioned epigenetics before. This is a concept that I've been familiar with for a long time, probably over a decade. So you have genetics, which is your genes, how they're written, and then you have epigenetics, which is how your genes are expressed. You choose how to express those genes. No doctor, no scientist, it's all up to you how you're gonna express your genes. Essentially what it comes down to is every time you eat, everything you eat, every time you walk, every time you stand, every time you sit, every time you're exposed to cold, every time you're exposed to heat, every time you're exposed to water, natural bodies of water, every time you got your face in the dirt, every physiological stimulus is a vector of information into your genes. That's just kind of how I think about things now. I try to make sure I get plenty of sunlight every day. I know a lot of people say, oh, sunlight's bad. No, I don't agree with that at all. I believe the standard person needs 20 minutes of full body sun exposure every day. With epigenetics in mind, we could stop thinking about food as sustenance. I stopped looking at food as sustenance a really long time ago. I don't see it as sustenance. This is going to sound really weird. This is another one of my crazy weird things. Food is information, actually. It's not sustenance. It's sustenance, but let's play this thought experiment for a second. What if you start thinking about food as information to your genes? Every time you eat, you're communicating with your genes, right? You're communicating with your genes about what your environment is like. Probably the most powerful epigenetic pathway, direct epigenetic pathway, is your gut. It's probably the most crucial, actually. It's through your gut that you're telling your genes all about your environment. If you think about it, if you're eating leaves and those leaves are living, they have living enzymes in them. That's why I do wheatgrass shots every month. Not every day, but I probably should. But I make it a point to do wheatgrass shots fairly frequently. Why is fresh wheatgrass so much more beneficial than, say, some arugula that's been off the vine for 2 weeks? You know, it's the living enzymes. Most of the salads you eat are metabolically at the cellular level. They're dead. They're not alive anymore. They've been off the vine for 2 weeks. There's no cellular activity going on anymore. There's huge benefit to eating living things. So if you're eating living leaves, if you're eating living greens, raw food like that raw, you're telling your body something about your environment. If you're stuffing Twinkies down your gullet and drinking soda, you're communicating to your body, this is what you're telling your body, that hey, calories, sugars are in abundance. Let's just store. Let's get lazy. Let's stop fighting to live because we got the abundance all around us at all times. If instead you tell your body, you know what, my environment, it's kind of scarce. There's not a lot of sustenance here. there's not a lot of bioavailable foods here. If all you're putting into your body are vegetables, fruits, lean meat, that's one pitfall that I see the carnivore people going into, is they don't seem to think eating 5 ribeyes in a day is a bad thing. You'll still get fat doing that. Okay, not to say I don't love the occasional ribeye, but unfortunately the best meat to eat if you're trying to cut weight is lean meat. Chicken breast. Shrimp is incredibly low calorie. Scallops are actually very nutrient low calorie. A lot of seafoods. Red meat, yes. Nobody's ever going to tell me not to eat beef. Anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. Your diet is information. It's telling your body what your environment's like. So right now I'm trying to tell my body through my lean protein shakes and my small meals, trying to communicate this to my genes. Hey, you need to shrink. You can't be holding on to all this fat. My environment is lean. It's protein rich. That's what I'm trying to communicate to my body to become. And I'm slowly getting there. I know I've mentioned Dr. Mike Israetel plenty of times in this video. He's the 5'6" bald guy, roided out doctor. I listened to an interview of him yesterday where he was talking to another fitness guru, and Mike Israetel was given weight loss strategies, and everything he said reminded me of when I was at my leanest. Forget all these fancy concepts, forget all these fancy foods and everything. Mike Israetel breaks it down. Hey, it is calories in, calories out. Fasting is just a tool. Fasting is actually a good gateway to get you into a caloric deficit. If you eat 1,800 calories a day, it doesn't matter if you eat it in one meal, really, or if you spread it out over 5 meals throughout the day. So if you're the type of person that actually likes to have something throughout the day, then that's actually what he recommends, and I recommend that too. Fasting was really good for me for about a year, but for me it's just not sustainable. There's just certain points of the day I'll get sad if I don't have some food. I will. I'll get the blues. Now I'm finding that if I just focus on small meals and high protein intake, that's the best strategy. The other strategy that he really talked up, and this is the most disappointing but true things I've had to come to terms with. A lot of my friends have focused on their steps every day. Oh, you got to have a step counter. You got to do this. It's like, no. I always said, no, screw that. I have my recumbent bike in the basement. I'll take a walk like a grandma periodically, but I'm not going to do it religiously. Well, turns out the step counters are right. Mike Israetel was going on about how if you make it a point to hit 10, 15, 20,000 steps a day, you are golden. There is no way you're not going to create a caloric deficit. What that actually equates to is 2, 3, 4 hours of walking a day. So that's why I'm out here walking instead of sitting and talking. So my goal steps right now are about 11,000 a day. I'm going to try this out. This is only my 3rd day doing it. But I think there's some serious wisdom in hitting your steps. Just these last couple days, I'm noticing already a change in my physiology, a bigger one than just my diet. Yeah, I've been limiting my caloric intake, but haven't been focused on the physical activity. Like I showed you the battle ropes. I do the bike once a week for an hour. That's great. But what Mike Israetel was saying was, man, you got to go easy with yourself. And sometimes the best exercise are not the sexiest exercises. Sometimes it's just walking, and it sucks because it's boring and it doesn't look intense. Visually it looks lame and it feels kind of lame, but it doesn't have to be lame. I have a lot of fun walking. I could listen to podcasts, I could edit videos, I could listen to music. So walking does not have to be lame. So my new goal is the 1 to 2 protein shakes a day, 1 small meal. The other thing that Dr. Mike Israetel was saying was these high glycemic foods, you could actually alter the glycemic impact on your body depending on what you mix them with. So like, for example, take a cup of white rice and you just eat the white rice. That's got a high glycemic impact on you. Okay, that's going to turn into sugar. It's going to give you a blood sugar spike. But if you mix that cup of white rice with a chicken breast and some carrots and some asparagus, guess what? The fats and the fibers slow down the glycemic impact on your body so much. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. But it makes a lot of sense. And again, this takes me back to when I was at my leanest. I was an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid without a car, living in California, going to school. And I was walking everywhere. And I loved it. I was walking an hour and a half, 2 hours a day probably, every day, just to go downtown, get food, I was walking. I had a backpack on my back and I was walking, no driving. I was eating a lot of sushi, a lot of Asian foods. Think about that, the white rice and the meats and the vegetables. Like, it's not about eliminating carbs, it's not about eliminating fat, it's just tempering that stuff. Anyways, so yes, you step counters, you're all correct. Keep up on your daily steps. If you do it, all you reasonably need to do every day to be on track is to aim for 200 to 300 calories below your daily requirements, and the weight will just slowly come off, and it doesn't have to be painful, and it doesn't have to be intense, and it doesn't have to look like some Olympic training theater. Right now, pizza, absolutely a no-go. Pasta, nope. Soda, nope. White potato of any kind, absolutely not. That stuff bloats me out so bad. Mashed potatoes, that's a pipe dream. Forget they exist. French fries, perfect recipe for fat gain. If you're trying to lose weight, you're eating French fries, you're doing it wrong. There's an enzyme in white potatoes. It's already starch and carb, very low nutrition, by the way. I talk about the pigments. Look at the pigments. Look at the white. There's no color to a white potato. They're white. And then you're going to take that, you're going to fry it, and then you're going to eat it. The white potato contains enzymes that tells your body to store fat. Instructions: store me, and then you're going to fry it. You're going to send in the instructions. Again, epigenetics. You're sending down the French fry. What is it? The fry has soaked up all the fat. What's worse? You're going to dip that in sugary, high fructose corn syrup ketchup. Cooked tomato also contains fat storing enzymes. So what's that? That's more instructions. Yep, here. Store me, store fat. I haven't eaten a French fry in probably 15 years. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, that's one thing, even when I am fat, I'm going easy on my diet and kind of neglecting my health. I don't eat French fries. Like, to me, that's just foundational. Zero French fries at any time. If I will do yuca. Yuca has much higher fiber and protein, much more nutritious than a white potato. If you're really rabid about potatoes, just switch to yuca. You could do mashed yuca, you could do yuca fries. They're all very good. I'll allow myself yuca because it's a great alternative. But that's just some examples of my diet, my absolute no's. I have a short list of absolute no's, and that's basically it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this. It's kind of all over the place. I know I tried to do a day in the life, but this is actually more like stretched over the course of about 4 days. Like I said in the beginning of this video, or somewhere in the video, I said health is hope. Isn't it wonderful that if you're suffering in some way, or if there's something wrong with you physically, physiologically, isn't it wonderful to know that there's so many solutions, oftentimes so simple, and oftentimes within reach? Within reach. That to me is so powerful. We've been given all the tools we need for optimal health. That's the main thing I wanted to drive home with doing this. Oh, there's another update before I really shut it down. So since I started really uptaking my essential aminos, some weird things happened just in the last 2 days. So this is a big update. So my wife happened to, a few days ago, send my DNA to this company to look at my natural genetic nutritional deficiencies might lie, like the weak spots in the chain. She found that a lot of my deficiencies were those essential aminos. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was like 3 of the major essential aminos I was missing. So since I started taking the essential aminos, I love coffee. Coffee's a non-negotiable for me. I can't drink that much coffee anymore. And I used to do about 10 nicotine lozenges, maybe about 7 with my slow release. Now I'm doing about 4 a day. Why? It's not because I'm choosing to, it's because I can't do that much nicotine anymore. It actually starts to feel uncomfortable if I do my normal dosage. So my natural nicotine consumption has probably dropped 30 to 40% since upping the essential aminos. Same with my caffeine. I just can't do that much caffeine. Like, it's not that I don't want to. It's like, no, you're one of my crutches to get me through the day. Like, I rely on you. Like, why don't I want you anymore? This is weird. Why don't I want this? It's really weird. It's paradoxical, but I just don't. I'll drink my cup of coffee. It's great. I go make myself another one and I take a sip and I just don't want it. Same with the nicotine. I have constantly got my lozenges in my pocket. Lucy. I quit at about 3 p.m. I start later in the day than I used to too. I used to wake up, pop one, hop in the shower, take my shower, sometimes I'd wait to get to work, but now it'll be like 3 hours into my work that I'll be like, okay, I could do a nicotine now. It's weird, but the essential aminos are the only factor that has changed, essentially. So whatever it is, they're filling up all the blind spots, all the missed spots in my diet. Like I said, my body just feels so much more put together. So I'm gonna keep on the essential aminos. I'll probably get to a point to where I could tell I'm overdoing it. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember, there's always room for growth, always room for a better you tomorrow. There's always hope. Health is hope, and hope is health. They go hand in hand. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see y'all in my next video.